This week on Hey Other Parents, we are talking about those dreaded words. Let's leave the house. Well, it happens at some point, my friends. We know the couch is calling, but at some point, we all have to leave the nest. So this episode is about getting that diaper bag packed, the essentials that you might need, some things you might not have thought of, and more. We take a moment to think about what the bigger ones need, and of course, we talk about things when we were younger, mishaps with our own kids, and what the supposed experts say. Because there's the three of us and all of you. So put on your shoes, because we're going out. I'm Michael Height.
I'm Sara D.
And I'm Mike Levine.
Kids don't come with a handbook, so we need your help.
Where do babies come from?
Where do you think they come from?
Is this a kissing book?
Mama! Mama!
What?
Hi.
I learned it by watching you.
There are no rules in this house. I'm not like a regular mom. I'm a cool mom.
We sent them to the best boarding schools. We hired the best nannies. We did everything right.
Hey, Mom! The meatloaf!
No drinking, no drugs, no kissing, no tattoos, no piercings, no ritual animal slaughters of any kind.
Together, we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
This is Hey Other Parents, an honest, messy, imperfect show for raising kids.
Hey, it's
What's
us again.
up?
We're back.
Hello.
What's going on, Sara D?
You know, nothing much. Just the usual. It's early, you know. Here we are.
It is early. So like you guys at home, or in the car or whatever you're doing. I'm a car person myself. This is a podcast that we record usually like in the evening. Sometimes it's Wednesdays, sometimes it's Sundays. But on a rare occasion such as this, we try to cram it in to the wee hours of the morning while our spouses are helping us out, watching the kiddos, or some of the kiddos are still asleep,
Sleeping,
hopefully.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not always, but sometimes they're still asleep. I got 2 out of 3 awake right now, and my wife is being so kind right now. But it is early. It's Friday morning, and we got up early for this one, didn't we?
We did. Look at us, ambitious to go out.
Look at us. We're gonna finish this up. We're gonna be like, this is like the feeling of like when you go see a movie in the earlier part of the day, like you finish up, you walk outside, you're like, oh my god, it's daylight.
Yes.
So this is this is like that feeling, right? So here we are. This is the week of vacation still with the kiddos. We're recording this one a little bit early, but we are excited because we are here. We are here to talk about tons of stuff with we thought we'd do an episode on the babies. We thought we'd do an episode on getting out of the house, getting the diaper bag packed, getting all the shenanigans out of the house, because those ideas of, you know, the ideas of you just walking out of the house by throwing your jacket on and putting your shoes on, those days are over, my friends. It is not as simple as you just grabbing the small things you need and leaving. That's a dream. That happens rarely, but that's okay, because we're all doing this together. So we've been, you know, it's been holidays. We've been having the Disney blues since we went this summer, and we got this. It's a small ride. It's a small world ride board game with that we play with the kiddos. It's kind of fun. But Noah's been like, he was kind of like shy when we went. So what he's been requesting lately is like me finding the rides on YouTube. And he wants to like re-experience
so
our
cute.
ride. It's kind of sad because it's like this isn't exactly how I remember it, but let's watch someone with their shaky iPhone, like, you know, record.
Exactly.
But
They pretend I was there.
I think we're gonna have to do a Disney episode at some point in the near future, because I think some people at home are probably thinking about going over the summer or whatever else. So we'll do that. And lastly, I want to tell you, this is kind of fun too, because it relates to another episode that we're thinking of doing. Is our friend Mariko, Dave, Holly. Hey guys. Mariko's brother is in town, and she's been telling us about her brother, because Ethan would go to Taekwondo and he'd bring this notebook with him. Let me tell you, he'd bring notebooks with him. So he has, like, my wife would buy these sketch pads, like the notebook forms, and he would write all over them, and he would burn through these things. Continues to. Aww. Like in the course of like 2 weeks, he's like making all these little sketches, and he doesn't do it like. So in his mind, he made these, like, what he comes up with his own video game ideas. So he writes out like levels, he draws the levels, he draws characters,
so cute.
And it's evolved over the years into like this thing where like he'll want you to like quote unquote play his game. So he'll like take his finger, and his finger's a character, and he'll move across the paper. And I'm like, oh, this is a bad guy. What do you want to do? And you're like, what do you mean? These like, oh, these are your items that you have. And he's like writing down your health. He's doing all these things. He's writing down like what happens with the bosses and stuff. So he's like basically evolved these into video games. And the whole thing started.
Oh my God, I love
Isn't
it.
that crazy? The whole thing started
That is
because
awesome.
he was before he was 5 at the time. We came up with some arbitrary rule in our house where like you have to be 5 to play video games. I don't know where it came from, whatever. So when he was younger, he'd watch Jacob play, and he couldn't play it. So like he had all these ideas of like what he would do if he was playing a game. And it went from from like holding the fake controller to moving on to these little drawings. And now he plays, but he still does these drawings. So he had them in Taekwondo, and he showed Mariko. Mariko's goes Taekwondo, her daughter's there. So we see her a bunch. And she's like, my brother designs video games. Like, you have to talk to him at some point.
That's so cool.
So he
oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, so he's paused on that. He left the video game industry. Now he does stuff with his girls, and it's awesome. He's such a cool dude. We finally connected with him last night over FaceTime, and he was so nice. He took the time to like explain like about the video game industry, like when he was younger, how he kind of like did some of the same stuff with like drawing in notebooks and things, and like he just talked about like the process and what it was really like. And Ethan had like he prepared all these questions. It's so funny. And
that's adorable. Right? I love it.
So like it was really cool, and it was kind of like how he fell into it. And I think Ethan just really liked talking to him. He's such a nice guy, and it was cool. It was really cool. So he worked on like Uncharted and a couple of the mech games, and it was a cool story. So we are actually gonna do a video game episode soon-ish. That one's going to be about family night with the kids playing video games. So maybe I'll tell you a little bit more about that when the time comes. But speaking of notebooks, Sarah D, speaking of notebooks and things that you might bring in the car to entertain yourself, you know,
exactly.
We're talking about getting out of the house and getting in the car. So I feel like we both have many experiences of our own kids when they were younger, and like their first chance of getting things packed into a bag and getting out of the house and forgetting the diaper bag at home and driving back to the house and all that nonsense. Yes. Right?
I remember like the first time having to go out with Sophia, I packed, I think, everything that I owned into the diaper bag, extra things on the side, because I was ready for any event that might occur. So, you know, I don't miss those days, but I miss those days of like having to bring basically your whole house with you when you travel.
Oh my God. Isn't that funny how like you, like in a way, you kind of like look back on those things and you sort of like forget some of the stuff. I guess that's probably why we have more than one kid. But the idea of like forgetting, if you forget some of the stuff that was like such a pain at the time. But when we started making this list of like the things that you might need, I think every time like I wrote down something else, it brought back like sweats, like that feeling of like, oh my God. But there's probably there's probably two like frames of reference of like either or two you know, approaches. It's either like you overpack and you put like everything that is in your house and try to bring it with you, or you underpack and you're forgetting majorly important things. So
yeah, I've done both.
Yeah, I don't think fun. Yeah, really, it's not like you're one person or the other. It's probably like just depending on the day, right?
Yep.
Oh my God. Did you remember it's funny because like we usually do this thing where we talk about when we were younger and like, you know, the stuff that we remember. I had a hard time remembering, or I talked to my sister. She didn't really remember a whole lot, but like, you know, I'm sure like as we were talking, I'm going to have flashbacks and things that like come out, you know, as far as that stuff goes.
Yeah. Cause when you're like little, you just think about like your mom or your dad just kind of packed, like did stuff, and we just kind of like, I don't know, existed,
right,
sat in the car and got where we need to go. But like, I remember for me, like a memory I have is my mom had like this denim bag. It was like the 80s, early 90s.
Oh, no way.
It was like this cool bag. It was big, a big satchel. And, it just felt like if like we got a boo-boo, there was a Band-Aid. Kind of thirsty, oh, a juice box appeared. So I guess that was her fancy diaper bag as we got older, you know. Or my brother had asthma, so she was always ready with a pump. She was ready to go. But like, yeah, she was like Mary Poppins with that denim bag, you know, very 90s shoulder pads.
Oh my God. I feel like I have vivid memories of denim bags. Mom as well. Do you remember, was it Sips juice boxes? Do you remember Sips?
It was Juicy Juice.
I'm totally like dating myself. Yeah. The Juicy Juice. Oh
always
my God.
Juicy Juice. I remember that. And then, like my mom, what she did, which was smart, and I always kept that in the back of my brain, was when we went on longer trips, she brought a cooler with food and snacks and sandwiches, and it was in there. And we used to go to like Pennsylvania, Virginia a lot. And if you ever traveled to those states, they are so hot in the summertime. And sometimes we would go to like Busch Gardens and come back to the car, and we had like a leather seat car, like a Grand Marquis, and the seats would be smoking hot, like almost unbearable to sit in there.
And the seatbelts too, right?
And the seatbelt, everything. So she had extra towels that then she would take the water from the water cooler, and she would like touch everything metal, and then she would actually lay down the towel on the like leather chairs, and we would stand out a little bit, wait for it. It would like literally dry up in 5 seconds, but it made it more bearable to sit down on it, because we would like you would like burn up. You would like roasted.
Suddenly, like if your mom was listening, she'd be like, suddenly growing up carbon's not so bad, is it?
No, exactly. She'd be like, see, I did that. You're welcome.
That's pretty smart.
So no, she was a smart lady, I have to say, for that kind of stuff. So those like the major things I can remember. After that, I'm like, I don't know. I just bopped around. I was there. I think also it was a different time too.
Yeah. Like, do you remember, like, did you ever sit in that super duper unsafe seat in the middle of like the front seat in the middle of the thing? Like, yes. I sat there too. I think it was crazy.
Oh, that was the best. And then my dad was a smoker, so I would love to push in the little
like
cigarette lighter. Yes, I would love to push it in for him and then hand it over to him.
Flaming hot.
So again, the 80s and 90s was a wild time. They probably did not pack as much things as we do nowadays.
I feel like if we ever make T-shirts for our podcast, on the back of it's going to say the 80s and 90s was a wild time.
It was a wild time, survival of the fittest, and here we are.
Here we made it. We're proof.
We got to the other side.
Oh my God, that's amazing. God, that's crazy, because I feel like, it just, you know what? Like this episode, there's just such a different vibe for like what our parents did versus what we did, because like I'm sure that even like now, like the stuff that we're going to be talking about, like for instance, my wife was showing me I don't even remember how this came. Oh, I know what it was. So we have one of our cousins is having a baby shower, so she was like looking through the list, and I don't know how she stumbled across it, but do you remember like the mirrors that you would have like in the car, like when your kids are rear facing, right?
Yep.
So now I didn't even know this even existed. I feel like people are listening to this and be like, dude, seriously? There's the dash cams that people have, like, for like if you get an accident, like shows like in front of you.
Yeah.
Right? So now there's like digital video camera mirrors. So you have the thing set up in the back seat, and then near your dash, like almost like on your phone next to it, whatever else, you could see like a live feed of your child that's directly behind you.
That's crazy.
Isn't that
I don't
wild?
know. That's wild. Do I like that? I don't know if I like that. I feel like I'd be watching that while I'm driving.
Right? But the other thing too is I don't remember like positioning the mirror. Like I feel like I could never get that thing like right. Like it was like on the seat, the headrest, right? Like on the seat rest, whatever. Yeah. And you'd kind of like try to angle it, and then you get in the car, you'd be like, can't see the baby.
Not right. Yeah, can't see the baby. Yeah, that was a 2-person job. Someone had to angle it. Someone, you had to look at it. And then if you share cars with your spouse, that always then messed up for the next person. Because, I'm, if you haven't known, I'm 5 feet.
5 feet of fury.
5 feet of fury. And my husband is like 5'11", 6 feet. So like, obviously like the height difference is huge. So I don't know if he really concerned himself though with that.
So it's not just resetting the side mirrors; it's resetting the baby mirror too.
The baby mirror and all that stuff.
I guess Juju's back there somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. They're okay.
So there's like a lot of categories, and I don't know. I thought we would just kind of go through them. Does that kind of make sense to you? Is that cool?
Yeah, I think that works for me.
So like, all right.
Extensive list here. I love it.
I know. I'm looking at this list and it's like, oh my God, how does this fit in one bag? So, all right. So one thing that I thought about, and as I was making this list, something that dawned upon me, which should have probably dawned upon me earlier, were like all the times that like we went out and like, we didn't have stuff for ourselves. So like a couple things that I want to talk about, were just like some of the things like that. So like, obviously if you're listening to this episode, make sure you got your wallet, your phone, your keys. But on top of that, you might want to consider bringing like little bag or a little thing of Tylenol, Motrin. Make sure you have real money in your wallet just in case. Change for parking, a charger for your phone. This is stuff that sounds kooky, but because you probably should remember it, but stuff happens, right?
Stuff happens. You forget stuff. And you know what? I used to keep money in my diaper bag because the ice cream man can come up anytime. You need to have money, so. And
you got to replenish that money too.
Yes. And I always love finding it. Mm-hmm.
Just in case the tooth fairy needs change, because sometimes she carries around too much. Good to have some extra singles somewhere, just in case.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's a different episode. We have to get in touch with her. So one thing that I was going to ask you before we talked about what went inside the diaper bag, do you remember picking out your diaper bag? Or
yes,
the whole thing with Jean or being because Rachel and I went to Bed Bath & Beyond, which sadly I don't think there's many of those left. No, it's done, right? There's no more, right? It's over?
They're gone, yeah, over.
Okay, cool. Plus that. Okay, so Target I guess now, but this was Bed Bath & Beyond. And we went inside and so many of the diaper bags were so feminine. And I remember before our first, I was like, I don't know. I don't really want to be walking around with that. I don't really care that much, but it was some of them were very, very feminine, very pinkish or light brown or they look almost like the shower curtains that you might have if you were single still and you had the girly stuff.
I know.
So
they always look so ugly. Oh.
Yeah. And then you just get basically get over it or you don't care. Yeah. Because the first one, I remember this brown polka dot one that was whatever. It was sorted in the middle. And then, when the second, when we got one for, when Ethan came along, I was I kind of wouldn't mind a black one. That would be kind of nice, And then by the time Noah was here, I was I don't care if this thing's pink polka dot or purple, whatever. I don't really care as long as it holds stuff. But how do you remember with Gene? Was it?
So when we did a little registry and we were picking out stuff, he was fixated on I think it was play school. It was a safari print with the little animals and it was camouflagey looking or whatever. And he loved that bag. And I was ew, no, I'm not wearing that. And I'm really not
oh my gosh.
that I appearances and stuff like that. I don't, but I just, for some reason, I'm not carrying around this baby bag, I want to look mature and somewhat fashionable. So I got this, we got two. We got, for me, the gray bag with little pink piping. It was very chic. Mm-hmm. And then Jean would proudly wear the safari bag with the little animals on it. He didn't care. He loved it.
Oh man, how long did that last? Because I can't imagine swapping out bags every time.
I just had both bags packed. That was it.
Oh, you made a double. Okay, you doubled down everything.
Yeah, because that was his bag. I just had this mental thing where I was I'm not touching that thing, and he loved that
the
bag.
things that you do for love,
Yeah, I know.
2 diaper bags.
And he loved it. And then when Julian came around, a friend of mine had given us a really cool backpack for, I think it was her husband's diaper bag. So Jean started taking that over too. I think I used it a couple times too because it was nicer to have a backpack, hands free, not a purse situation. I actually had a skip hop that I really love, a bag. It looked a little cool. Again, a little more fashionable, a little more crossbody. And actually so much so, my friend, her wife took it to borrow one time because she just needed a bag to go into the city. And then she loved it so much, she just kept it.
Oh no, that's amazing. I remember that.
And at that point, I didn't really need it anymore. So I just laughed because I was really funny. She really liked the bag. And I was yeah, you know what? When you have kids, you can use it.
Guess I'm not getting that back. That's so funny. I can't believe that I forgot about that too. We did switch to a backpack at one point. And that is life-changing, right? Because
I'm telling you,
it's just the hands. You need your hands.
Yes. And I love a purse and I love heels, but I don't know. I don't really on my day-to-day stuff. I don't like carrying around a pocketbook. I just carry my wallet. That's what I need. Or I'm wearing my Doc Martens, on my day-to-day life. But I'm not very shishi foo-foo.
I know it's seriously funny because at one point you just because I think for women too, I feel it's I don't know, I kind of watch this with my wife, she's not that way either, but I kind of felt she was almost you kind of feel you're losing yourself a little bit because you don't have your purse, you don't you're already kind of going through this crazy body stuff of you had the baby and you're trying to get back to yourself and it's could you possibly take away one more thing from me?
Right. But at some point you compromise, I feel like, and maybe some women don't. Like I noticed some women who carried a pocketbook and their diaper bag, good for them. I was more like, give me a clutch, I throw it in the pocketbook, in the diaper bag. One less thing to forget, because I will forget stuff. I'm also the same person that goes into the car ready to leave, and then I don't have the car keys with me. So,
You know what? Respect. That happens.
It's all that executive functioning stuff needs a little help sometimes,
You know what? You are not alone. Have you ever gotten into the car and like you're carrying just like, well, okay, this is goes. You carry everything.
Everything.
Like, I'm going to do this in one trip.
Yep.
And then you get there and then you can't get into the car.
You can't get into the car,
But you just drop your head in shame. You put your drink on top of the car and then you go back with everything to get the keys.
Yep. Love it. And then once you get your diaper bag like all like set up and stuff like that. Like you used to do this thing. You always say like buttered diapers. Man, that was, where was that tidbit of information when I had Sophia and Julian? I must have missed out on that trend.
Isn't that funny that like, I don't even know where that phrase, did we say that phrase or just somebody, I don't even remember, but like we had this mentality that was like, yeah, it was crazy. Like we plopped down on the couch at night, the night before, as if, I don't know how we had energy for this, but we would grab like a stack of diapers, little size ones, whatever, get the rectangular thing of like, no scent Vaseline and then like a butter knife. And that's probably why I got a butter knife. And we sit there, just scoot up, flatten, make a stack. And they were like, okay, at least it'll be good for the next day. Or like when you leave the house. Cause like there's something about like, about having to like put the stuff on the diaper when you're like out. It's just like it's like a squeezy tube, like toothpaste. It's kind of a pain in the butt. So like, I feel like it was just good, convenient to have those things like ready to go. And Vaseline doesn't dry out. You know what? Why don't we talk about the stuff, right?
Yeah.
We should, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So why don't we start with changing? Cause this is kind of where we are with this whole thing, right? So like, all right. So cause this is probably going to sound like a big ton of stuff, and like when we get to the food stuff, like maybe you'll have like a second little mini bag to go with you, because it's not feasible to have all this stuff like in one bag. But anyway, all right, so let's get in. Enough with the disclaimer, Sarah D. Enough of that stuff. So all right, so changing. All right, so some of the bags and even the big backpacks have like a place for a changing pad. You need to have your changing pad. Some of them are like Velcro, and like they just kind of like they tri-fold and they kind of stick together. If you have seen this is not a terrible thing. You do, it's good for you. But if you have like a hatchback, like a CRV or like a minivan or like something that allows you to do so, it is so insanely convenient to be able to change your child in the trunk. I know it sounds like, maybe that's questionable parenting advice, but sometimes like when you have to change your kid and situations are going on, you got nowhere to do it. Trunk is pretty legit. And that is where that changing pad comes in really nicely. Maybe like a towel to put down underneath it, more for like a little cushion, whatever else. And then with the changing pad, we kind of realize is that sometimes like when the baby's really young, they kind of like, you feel bad with their head. So having like a little sweatshirt or something to go underneath their head to kind of give them like a little cushion, like a little pillow, that's kind of nice, right?
That's so nice. Yeah.
So far, so good.
So far, so very good. Look at that.
We got the butter diapers, right? You probably want to have like enough for thinking about like what would be the extreme number of hours that you'd be out for the day.
Yes.
Because like if you're like, I'm going out for half an hour and then it turns into 3 hours and you don't have an extra diaper, you might have a situation on your hands.
And then you pack 2 more because there might be a blowout. You never know.
Yeah, that is it, man. You can't not have that situation. And then if you have the trunk, it's not necessarily a bad idea to have like, because we always bought the wipes that came in like those big pouches. Mm-hmm. I know like, instead of the refillable ones, we just bought like the pouch, whatever. So sometimes they have that like plastic top that you open it up and you could take the wipe out and you close it back up. So we usually keep like a full thick one. We just throw it in the trunk. Like sometimes like in minivans on the side, there's like a little place for them. So it's good to have that there because, you got to have things within reach, especially Sarah D said like the blowout situation. My friends, it does happen. And if you listen to this podcast, you're probably just nodding your head like, oh God, yeah, it does. And do you have like, they also sell those like little blue bags. I say little blue bags because I remember them, but like they're basically just little thin plastic bags that are good for the situations at hand, right?
Yeah,
do you have like little throwaway bags or little garbage bags?
I would just bring like the plastic bags, like, from takeout and stuff like that, like, cause I don't know.
It works. Whatever bag you need, have extras.
Just have plastic bags just in case. Something that can get thrown away discreetly if something, like is really gross. Because you don't want to subject people to like your child's blowouts
situations, right? And then like I don't remember how we even did this, but apparently we used to keep like a little container of Vaseline in there too. But I think that was probably more like for longer road trips and stuff. Than it was like you'd have the squeezy tube of Vaseline if you had to like whatever. But put on dry diapers for kids, I don't think they appreciate it. Let's see, we got that. Oh, then okay. Now this is possibly not true, but it seemed like it was true. I don't remember where I heard this. I think it was either online on Reddit. I don't even know. So okay, the questionable sources. But so if you have a boy, you are very likely to get peed on. It's just kind of what happens.
Oh yeah, yep.
So they sell these little covers for your child's private parts.
Yes, the little cone cap. That never worked.
Ridiculous. It never worked. So
it never
check
worked.
this out. And I don't know if this is 100% accurate, but we did find that when we did this, because I remember hearing about it, and it sort of worked. When you're changing your child for a boy with a wipe, so like you have the wipe, they're the wet wipe, whatever. You brush the wipe across their lower abdomen, like above the private part, right above their lower belly, and it like somehow it triggers a response from not to pee. And I don't know how this happens, but you still got to book it, you still got to do your thing. But so as you're changing them, diaper comes off, whoosh, give them a little chilly wipe across the lower belly, and then it buys you like a minute to do your thing. And I feel like it worked like 99% of the time. I feel like there was always, of course, like situations.
Oh,
occur.
that's awesome.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, I just
like, now that I have no children that need this is a
right. I mean, maybe eventually when I'm a grandma, but like I would just take the other diaper, and just put it over everything, to just in case there was like a little explosion. Because
sometimes you'd have a fallen soldier because like you'd put the new diaper down, and all of a sudden your kid would start peeing.
Yes,
and you're like, oh, I guess we're changing you again.
Yeah, like oh, that's cool, awesome.
Which obviously leads us to saying extra change of clothes is probably a major thing to have. What you could consider doing is there's going to be a lot of bags being wasted this episode. So if you're feeling like you're upset with our feelings towards the world and making the world a better place, I apologize. There's gonna be a lot of Ziploc bags. So the Ziploc bag with the children's clothes inside, and because we kids did this for daycare, which was very smart. That we stole it from them. Is they wanted you to like label like the kid's name, obviously that's up to you, but putting the size on there, writing the size on the Ziploc bag is pretty smart, because like let's just say it's like 18-month stuff. Like once your kid starts to outgrow it, you may sort of forget to swap out those clothes. So like when you see it, it might be like obvious to you to be like, oh yeah, we got to swap this out because this is 18 months. We need 24-month stuff. So like it's a good like reminder of like what's in there. And please remember to put 2 pairs of socks in there, because when kids get changed, those socks get wet sometimes. So that's having that extra.
Or they disappear. So like what I would do is keep extra clothes in the car, and typically these were clothes that like maybe I was not like completely in love with, that I needed to see my kid in it, or clothes that like my friends like donated, like the hand-me-downs that I got, and again, picking through whatever I really liked and things that I'm like, okay, that's good enough, but like it's not my favorite. And I would keep those clothes in the car for the kids, in a bag, just in case. Definitely extra socks, sunglasses. I don't know. When I see her sunglasses, like Sophia used to hate when she was little, the sun in her eyes, even with the little shade. So we bought actually those little baby sunglasses that wrap around like their head and stuff like that. And she would sit there.
Like goggly things, right?
Yeah, she would sit there like with her little sunglasses on, and she'd be like happy as a clam now because like the sun was not in her face, So sunglasses definitely important for those little guys and those peepers. Because as I learned, I guess I being young and growing in the 80s and 90s, my mom didn't really use sunglasses on us as much. And the eye doctor said that, because that was the time, some of us have like some sun damage. So you want to protect your kids' eyes,
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I always bought like little baby sunglasses, always kept them in the car. Because, when we went to the park and stuff like that, I always wanted them to protect their eyes. It's
smart. And I feel like they like accumulate. Like I feel you end up with like so many of these sunglasses. What's good is if you throw like, it's not a bad idea to like keep one extra in the car, in addition to the diaper bag, and that just becomes like the car sunglasses.
Yeah.
And then you could even like have like a little bucket like a little container maybe by your front door where like you throw like a couple extra sunglasses in there too, because you never know, because I feel like those things miraculously, like socks, just get lost in the house.
They get
Don't know
lost.
why,
They break
but they do.
easily, and it's not necessarily like the most important thing, but like if you go to like the beach and stuff where there's a lot of glare, you want sunglasses, and it's so important to keep their eyes protected apparently.
And if your kids aren't into that, you could always make sure you get like baseball hats. But like, it's so funny how dorky the little kid ones are.
I know.
With the big old brim, but it's good. It keeps them, in better shape.
It's always good.
Let's see. Car stuff. Kind of random. I guess it kind of fits in the same realm of like clothing and stuff. Maybe having an extra pair of shoes. Because if you go out and you hit some muddy stuff, or once again, diaper stuff, gloves or mittens, have those handy. Rain boots is maybe for when they're a little bit bigger. Some kids obsess over having like the rain boots or the rain jacket or a little umbrella that is sort of useless. But have an umbrella in the car, because that is something that you will shockingly find that you will not have at the right time. And of course, to make your kid dry and you'll be soaked, but that's kind of how it goes, right?
The sacrifices, man. The sacrifices.
Why don't we jump down to meds? We'll do that med stuff now, maybe.
Sure. Why not? Let's do it.
So now, as you can imagine, your bag is starting to sound kind of big. One thing that I left out, I apologize, was having a little container of triple paste. That's like little white goobers that you put on if they get like diaper rash, whatever else. Triple paste is sometimes super duper important. So in addition to the Vaseline, triple paste is good. All right, meds. I guess maybe that falls under medication, triple paste. I don't know. So, okay, this is where things get a little dicey sometimes. Make sure you have a travel thermometer with you in the bag, because it's hard to choose if you're going to give your kid Motrin or Tylenol if you don't know their temperature. If they just kind of feel warm, you kind of know, but you don't know. So it's kind of good to have a number to go along with it. So having like the little, I don't know, we kind of felt like after a while, the ones that went underneath their armpits were like the best ones. They kind of like seem to like keep their temperature ratings. The readings were a little bit more the number seemed like a little bit more realistic. Sometimes like the ones that you scan with the forehead, it would be like 102, 86, 105. It was like, what the heck is happening?
Depending
right
like what spot in the head you put it on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
And then like a little Ziploc bag with we would sometimes put, I feel like we work for the bag industry. Sometimes we take like Tylenol, like the little kids Tylenol or acetaminophen, baby Motrin if they're old enough, and put that like in the bag. And then like in another bag inside of that bag, we would put like the dropper. Because like that would get sticky and gross once,
Yep.
And then sometimes on like a little sheet of paper, I'd write down like the dosage. Because sometimes in the moment, it's just good to know, just like, is it 5 mLs, whatever else. But like having the number for their age just written down in there is kind of handy. And then if they're old enough, Benadryl is not so bad to have either. And then you could even have like... teethers with you in case that whole thing breaks down, right? Those teethers.
Yes, those little guys.
What do you got? The
what a fun time.
And the good times is when their nose is bothering them. You may not need it, but every so often, like the little bulb things, or having like the what do you call them? The little things to suck the boogies out.
Yes.
Those are good to have. Droppers and separate. The droppers. That's what I was saying. I'm looking at my list. Like, what am I talking about?
Yeah.
And then the saline spray is good, because saline spray is any age, doesn't really matter. Still salt water that you could use to kind of clear out their nose a little bit. Let's see. We got like for bug bites, they have like the Benadryl cream. That's obviously like seasonal. If you ever need that, right?
Or you just put the X in the bug bite and you'd be done.
Oh, that's pretty smart. Done. Next. What else we got? Bug spray is good to have, right? In case they make like the white clear spray. Bug spray is pretty good to have. There's a couple. Obviously you mentioned it before, like with the sunny days and the heat. Sunblock is good to have.
Yes.
So the nose thing. All right. So there's this thing called the nose Frida. Listen, I don't know.
I love
about
that
this
thing.
for
That
me.
thing was so cool. I loved it.
Do you got it to work?
Yes.
It's like a tube, right?
And it goes, tube. Like you put
tell me about it.
So you put like the part into like their nose, like the little like syringy part, and then there's like a straw, and then you have to suck out the boogies.
And a filter. Very important.
There's a filter, but when you think about it, like that's not doing anything because it was like
Yeah.
the sponge with like the biggest holes ever in it. And then you just suck out like the boogies, but you can't suck too much because all suddenly the boogers would get up there. So like to your mouth. So you had to be very careful. But culturally, some families, some cultures, they do actually, like just suck out boogies with their mouths and noses. Like some
man.
people. So
That is...
I guess
that's some intent. That's love that's like a Meatloaf song about doing anything for love, but I won't do that.
For love, right?
Yeah.
But I did enjoy the nose Frida. I felt that it actually worked better than the bulb thing.
Yeah, those bulb things, the bulb things, the things that you like squeeze and then it pulls air out, whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like those things do not work without saline spray. I feel like you need the saline spray to kind of like loosen everything up, and then you use that to kind of suck them out. But that is between that experience and then when your kid has pink eye and everything else, the idea of like getting those things to work as a one-person job is a disaster. You'll probably be traumatized for life.
Exactly.
But I'll see. That's that. We got that. Sunblock. Oh, Neosporin. You mentioned Band-Aids, right? Your mom was always ready to rock with the Band-Aids, right?
Always got to get a Band-Aid just in case.
Did you have like a first aid pack like in the car? Like, is that something you would do? Or
I did. Jean put one in the car for us, and I very rarely remembered it. But luckily, I never really had to use it. Besides, like the occasional like fall on the ground, you throw some water on it, slap a Band-Aid, keep going.
That's it.
But Jean,
kiddo.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, toughen up. Or if I didn't have a Band-Aid, I would just be like, it's better. The air, helps make it dry out and stuff, and just keep going. You're fine.
Listen, once you start, it's like a dark path. Once you start with Band-Aids, and then you start with like colorful Band-Aids, and then it's like, then it turns into a thing. Then it's like, I think there's a little red spot on my arm. I need a Band-Aid because I want a new Pokemon one or a Little Mermaid one or whatever it is.
Yep, whatever it is. Yeah, no, I know. But we love I love Band-Aids, man. They are fun.
Sometimes survival Band-Aids to kind of get them back to action is required.
Yep.
We also have here, it's something I wish that I knew earlier. At Taekwondo, one of the moms that goes of one of Jacob's friends is a nurse, and she's really smart with like all this stuff. And she recommended having those cold packs in the car. You don't ever really need them until you need them. But they have these cold packs. They have them like the doctors too. But basically, they sell them in the store, and you basically like. You kind of like crack them almost like almost like those like glow lights. Yep. And then once you crack them, like the chemicals mix together and it causes a reaction. And there's heating ones and there's cold ones. The cold ones are so good to have if your kid ever like really gets like it gets like a big bruise or something like that, and like you're like, oh my god, I have no ice. That's perfect to have. Like throw a couple of those in the car. You may never need them; they might expire, but it's good to have those.
No, I think
we knew about that before.
Me too. I think that's really smart. But that's something you can carry on now with your kids. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, definitely
like,
smart.
They're still big and they'll still get hurt, and unfortunately.
Right, and then I guess of course he got like we'll talk about the older kid stuff in just a little bit, but random stuff to keep them just happy throughout the day. Portable sound machine. They sell those. You clip those onto like a stroller. You could have like your thin muslin blankets are a little bit safer for kids than having something heavy. Because you have to be supervised when they have blankets, of course.
Yes.
PJs just in case you're going to be out longer than you realize, because you will be out longer than you realize. And that having that is just in case is always good to have. But the portable sound machines, that white noise, man, holy moly, that is like. At some point, we'll talk about that crazy book with the guy with the horses. But there's that whole thing with like the 7 S's or whatever it was. But that sound machine is key to help them fall asleep, for us at least. It's also good for, you know what? Maybe we'll jump into, let's jump into food stuff, right?
Okay.
If that's cool.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because I'm trying to think in how these things maybe relate in some way. So food, oh man, that's a whole territory, isn't it? giving me the sweats. So one thing that we found a while ago was these like plastic throwaway tablecloths that like would have these strips in them, and you rip the strips off.
Yep.
And then you could put them on the table, right? So you're at like a restaurant or you're like out, you put these little tablecloths down, and then they could just eat directly off that. Like put little food, little Cheerios, whatever else.
Yes.
And you just kind of like scrunch it up and throw it away. Those things are awesome, right?
I love those things. Again, so much plastic waste.
I know. As I'm going through this, I'm like, people are going to be like, this is a problem.
But you have to like keep everything kind of separate. You got to be able like to have things that you throw away with. Like it's Oh man, those babies. But yeah, I love that
And,
little
like, you
plastic
know,
thing. It was great.
It's neat. You need it, right? And
Yeah.
then, like, you know, you could have like your little containers of, like, you know, there's like they sell these little containers that are like, it almost feels like a rat trap or something. Like there's these containers that like have these openings where you could, like, the food supposedly shouldn't fall out, but like your hands can go in.
Yes.
Do you remember those things?
I remember those things too. That was great.
Throw some Cheerios in there. Listen,
Yes.
Cheerios are key. They get you through a lot of situations. You could have like your you have those high chairs attached to the table. If you feel more comfortable with that. They also, maybe it's smart to have like a little container or like a plastic bag of like your essentials. Like you have like a couple baby spoons. You have your hand sanitizer. You have a few extra jars of food.
Yep.
The one thing that we found that was super useful is to throw in the diaper bag too is cloth diapers. We didn't use cloth diapers, but for burp cloth diapers are awesome.
Yes,
so
they
there's
are.
those white, right? Those are white cloth diapers.
And they're like thick and yeah, those were awesome.
Chuck them over your shoulder, use them. They, you know, spit up a little bit. All good, man. Bring them home and throw them in the wash. It's definitely a good thing to do. What else we got here? We got extra wipes, those plastic bibs that you can kind of like clean off really easily. If you're doing the formula thing, which we did, the having like a separate, like almost like something you would bring to work with like an ice pack, having a separate bag that maybe you could fit like 2 wide mouth Dr. Brown's bottles if you're going to pre-make the formula ahead of time, you know, something with an ice pack in there. And then you could have those like ready to go for those magical times. And because the kids will get so distracted when you're attempting to feed them out in public, having like a little toy or something they could hold on to, or you know, like a little book or something to have them direct their attention towards you while they're drinking, it might not be, you know, a bad thing to kind of throw in like a little. There's those little bath books that are like the ones that you can kind of wipe clean if they get stuff on them.
Yep. No,
You know,
that's
throw
smart.
that in there too, right?
That's smart. And then like for mamas who are breastfeeding, always have like an extra blanket to cover, you know, if that's something that you are concerned about. You know, some moms are more willing to breastfeed in public without having covering, you know, is a whole big controversy, but you do what's best for you. So like usually a nice blanket's good. And I always carry like extra bags of milk. Cause again, sometimes a situation you weren't able to really nurse them. So just to have the extra bottle and the milk, but you can't put the milk into the bottle because then it makes it like unsanitary. So you have to leave it in the bag and then if needed, crack it open and feed the baby.
Oh, that's why they sell those bottles that have those bag inserts.
Yes, yeah. So like,
but they trap a lot of gas in there, like, right, or air, right? Like it would be like kind of like you.
Yeah, like that.
I
think that was like some of it, or Medela made like these bags that you just like they're like Ziploc bags, but then there's like a way to hold it, like it turned into a spout, and then you would like pour the milk into the bottle. So like
more bags,
more Ziploc bags.
Look at here. We got that. We got the baby spoons. Oh, and hand sanitizer. Always good to have, right? For, you know, the situations. They sell little pump ones for babies or for you or whatever else. I think that's, does that look like a full list? We got through it all?
I think
we did, right?
I think we did. Look at us.
Then we got, we're pretty good here. We got a couple more little small categories here. So we have the nap stuff. We talked about having a portable sound machine. We talked about that. And entertainment. This is small, but depending on, I'm assuming that you probably already have this set up in general, but maybe it's just something in general to think about. On the, like, if your kid's in the what are they? I don't even know what they're called anymore. The little stroller things that like go into the car seat, and they also are the carrier, the little baby carrier things.
The snap and go.
Yeah, thank you. That was the words that I could not put together in my brain.
I'm trying to think, like, right? Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Yeah. And there's like 5 different versions of those. But anyway, the having a little like animal toy that you could kind of click onto the handle.
Yes.
Sometimes they like that, like the ones that have like the little mirror and the sounds and the stuffed animal, and so they could grab. Then there's like that gosh darn squeaky French giraffe toy. Was it Gerald the giraffe or something? Like it was like,
I forget. We had one. We lost it. That was the end of it.
I feel like your kid either likes it or they hate it, but as a parent hearing that squeaky noise is like, ugh. But that's something that sometimes would make your surrounds with us too. The teether's good to have. Sometimes they just like to have that. And then for you personally, like once you move from like the car into the stroller when you're out and you know, you left the couch and you actually did this, it's good to have a carabiner or a few of those clicked onto the stroller, because like between carrying all the bags and all the other nonsense, sometimes just having your hands more free and being able to hold something like a little, if you go like the store and you have like a small bag, like the weight can't be too big, it's gonna like knock the stroller over, but having a way to click on stuff. Now like strollers are so much nicer, like the big Bob ones, or also have like all this storage underneath. But like some of the strollers, like from like, you know, even like now it sounds like a lot, but it's like 10 years ago, they didn't have a lot of under the baby, like
under the carriage store.
Yeah, the storage is terrible.
Yes.
Now I see parents going to the grocery store and like
and they're like packing up the stroller and the kid and everything's there. That's awesome.
Right. And then I thought maybe like, since we probably talked a lot and probably overwhelmed you to the bejeebers about all this stuff for your kids, maybe just talking about the bigger kids a little bit. Does that sound good?
Definitely. I think like all that like packing up for when they're little helps like carry over until like they're bigger. You know, like you know, I see that you have like for them like have their own little backpack, because that's the best thing about it. They're big enough to carry their own stuff. You know, and
there's such pride about that. Like, what's that company that makes you mentioned it before, the backpack one that you gave away. I can't remember the brand.
The Play School.
But they make. Yes, it was a Play School. There's another one too that has like owls and stuff like that. They I can't think of the brand name, but like they make these little backpacks for kids. Mm-hmm. They even make ones that have like the leash on them. Like, I never did that with my kids. Like,
Me
you know,
either.
it sounds bad. Kids in a leash. But when we went to the airport for Disney and Noah was there, he's like losing his mind. We're like, let's take out the backpack with the leash. And we just kind of clipped him on because it was like, he was losing his bajonkers. But every now and then, you never know when you're gonna need something like that. But yeah, anyway, the having their own backpacks, the little cute ones. Sometimes like you could throw in like little entertainment stuff, right? Like little books, something to draw with, little crayons, and making like a
little figurine, little whatever they like, whatever they're into. Because that's the best part too. Is like you like, okay, what are you putting in your backpack, and then they pack up all their stuff, and you know they're like you said, they're really happy like to be holding their things, and you know. It's like, and now they're responsible for it, less caring for you.
Especially like when you know you're going to go out to eat, like maybe that's a separate episode, but like having like maybe like you're not going to bring all your crayons with you. So you make like a little travel pack.
Yes. So
like a little mini Ziploc bag of like, I don't know, 8 or 10 different colors of crayons, and then also color pencils or things that don't need sharpening or better. And then you could have that like in their bag, and then like maybe you know, you have like, you let them choose two toys that they're going to throw in the backpack. Inevitably, they jam everything possibly that they could possibly find. But it's just good to have like the travel stuff. And even like in the beginning of the year, like when you're doing your school shopping, either it's super cheap, like in the summer, or like right after school starts, or getting rid of stuff. Sometimes they sell those like little plastic pencil cases, smaller ones. Those are awesome for kids because you could make like one of pencils, one of crayons, one of like little figures. And then this way, like when you're trying to get out of the house, and you're yelling for your kids to find their shoes, you could take one of those and just throw them in a little backpack. And now you've got like entertainment just ready to rock.
Yep.
Because like it is a pain in the butt trying to get it all together when you're trying to get out of the house sometimes.
Yeah, no, definitely. Everything's like whatever can make leaving the house easiest and a little semi-organized is always the best thing to do. You know, like I would actually even leave that stuff in the car probably. And that's
Smart.
That's like the car stuff, because it's like one less thing to worry about. Speaking of leaving things in the car, like clothing, you know, like like hoodies, you know, different types of shirts, like, you know, maybe like a long sleeve shirt, short sleeve shirt. Like what I do for my kids with Sophia, like she does cheer. And we have to travel a lot and stuff like that. And she's very good for the most part, either the night before or the morning of, like after she does her own laundry. She'll pack her cheer stuff, but you know, she forgets like a sock, you know, or the whole pair of socks, or she needs a new shirt, or she, you know, especially with cheer, they're like, oh, you need to wear this color today. And maybe she missed that text. So it's come in handy, like me keeping an extra pair of socks and shirts for her. And then instead of like having to go buy it or to go all the way home, then to go all the way to school, I can just do it on my way, you know, from work and just drop it off for her. And I, you know, like I sometimes a little conflicted by that, because I'm like, am I teaching her to be responsible? But I'm like, no, because she's doing her own laundry, she's packing her own stuff. You know, she made a mistake just like all of us do. Like you forget something, and she just has the benefit of having a mom or a dad that can just drop it off for her, you know?
I love that. And then like it's good maybe to have like a place in the house where they could like have their stuff. Because like when you like put it by the if you have like a pantry, whatever it is, have a place for this stuff to go for easy grabbing. Because that's like sometimes another hassle to get out of the house, right?
Yep. And then like definitely need like the snacks, like to feed them up, especially in sports and activities. Like you want you need either whether it's like chips or granola bars, like I see you have there, just like or extra water bottles, like or even just an empty, like whether you like plastic, because I know they say you're not really supposed to leave plastic in the car with the water, but like even like an empty reusable water bottle to just fill up and stuff like that. Because again, those are things that get left behind. All of a sudden they're really thirsty from the park or something, So it's good just to have that stuff.
I feel like that's like my wife will always like make like a travel bag of like snacks that like if we're going like somewhere like especially if we're going like Jersey to visit my sister-in-law, like she'll grab like she'll make a little bag and it has like granola bars, pretzels, crackers, goldfish, pouches, the fruit pouches and like whatever, just because like you know what? You don't know what course you're on there in Snackville. So it's like, oh, now that I've had a pouch, I want a fruit pouch. Maybe I'll have something salty, and it's just like, you just need it.
And then
you're like waiting across a bridge or something.
Exactly. And you want to stop at every gas station to get snacks. It gets expensive, especially nowadays. Everything's $1 million trillion. So,
right.
That's man, these kids would eat you out of house and home if they could. And then, another thing, blankets. My kids for a longer car ride, like we're going to New Jersey later on today.
Yeah.
And my kids love to make one row, like Julie takes the middle row, Sophia takes the back row, and they like set up like blankets, the pillows. I'm like, where do you guys think we're going? But it can't, amazing. Depending on the time, the traffic, and like our friends live about like 4 hours away. Like it could be like a lengthy car ride, Oh, no, actually probably like 2. So I'm sorry. It's taken us.
Oh, traffic. Yeah.
Sometimes it's taken us almost 3 to 4 hours to get there, but technically it's about 2-hour ride. So they love to pack up stuff, and it just I don't know. It just makes them feel like good. They have like their iPads and their whatevers, and they're good to go. Those older kids, because and then also too, honestly, maybe it's a bad habit, maybe it's a good habit. I think there's some moms out there who totally agree. Like when you got a teen and you got to run some errands, and you kind of want company, and like sometimes they're a little snarky that company, but Starbucks, like a quick little like cappuccino, a little frappuccino.
We'll save the day.
We'll save the day, make your teen a little happier, a little bribery. I always think that's always kind of like fun and special too, because that's not something they have all the time. But, sometimes you got to bribe them.
Sometimes a little BOGO goes a long way.
Exactly.
So I'll tell you what, why don't we hop over to, there's an article from The Bump. It's pretty good. It's about Diaper Bag, The Bump. God, that website, man, they've blown up. Like The Bump, The Nest, the this, that. Anyway, The Bump, there's this article that's about diaper bag checklist, what to pack. So I feel like we actually, as I'm flipping through, I feel like we did a pretty decent job.
Yeah, we
with
did.
some of this stuff, right?
Yep, we did.
One of the things that I like on this list, which is besides like of course it's all linked out to like buy stuff, but whatever. Anyway, look, there's a Skip Hop. That was a brand name that has a little right, little animal theme things, right?
Oh, okay. I thought it was just diaper bags. Maybe.
Yeah. They make like all the animal ridiculous backpacks. They probably don't make them anymore. It's probably like I'm like, oh, now that we're talking about 10 years ago. Something that is very nice about this is they just say like some of they try to break it down by category. I know that we went through this, and I kind of like spoke at like rocket speed, but some of the stuff that is on here was good, and I think that there were a couple things I thought were useful. Where like there's these like 4 tips that were kind of useful. So one was stashing things in different parts of the diaper bag, essentials in the smaller pockets, or different color bags. So it's like when you're in the moment, especially like. Things happen at the worst possible moments. Like it's dark outside and now you're like in the car and your spouse is like in the passenger seat trying to sort through this diaper bag, trying to find something. And if it's not well lit, it could be a disaster just trying to find stuff. So just like keeping things in the same pockets or like having some sort of like, right? Like some sort of awareness of where it goes.
Yeah. Or like different, I see different colors or different, like, I know like the pacifiers, they had those little like fancy cases for them, like things that like as you're feeling around, like you said, like you're rummaging, or if you're driving and you do have to drive and rummage through the bag as you're driving, you could feel it, you could find it easy, like stuff like that.
And then they say like a diaper bag caddy. I guess that's like something that we didn't really do that, but it's like having like the regular pack of wipes and an empty thing, like basically having like an extra attachment to like grab your other stuff if it doesn't fit in, or like throw that stuff like into the. It's basically having like a changing kit in your. at your disposal. I
did have that with one of my bag. I think the Skip Hop bag had that, and I loved that. Was great, honestly, because
like clip on,
like you clipped it on, or like it, or you just easily grabbed it, and like it had everything in it. So because again, especially like me, I can't carry all these things. Like
right.
Less is more for me, you know.
Yeah, and then like for us, like since we did the formula thing, we would pre-portion out stuff like the water, or like if we did it, we knew we were going somewhere, we could actually just make the bottles ahead of time and just pre-portion it.
Yeah.
Because they had the numbers on the you know, in the bottles themselves, so like that was useful. But you know, whatever, we talked about that, and then
oh yeah, and then with the breast milk to have the portable coolers, which I totally forgot to mention. Like with the breast milk, you need to have it the baggies. You can't put it in the bottle just yet, but you also need a cooler because that's super important because it's super delicate. It can like perish in like seconds, it felt like. So gotta be careful with that.
God, how disheartening that would be.
I know.
And then you're like, I can't do this ever right now.
No.
And then the Ziploc bags, just in case you wanted to like, you know, kill a small planet with everything else we already told you. They mentioned it here, and this is actually pretty smart because I didn't actually think of this, is that having some of the liquidy stuff, like it doesn't matter if it's sunscreen, if it's milk, if it's water, if it's hand sanitizer.
Oh yeah.
Anything that has liquid in it, good go in a bag, because it's better that it gets destroyed or opens up in the bag than opens up in your backpack.
I've always done, and like even when I pack, like probably a different episode, but even just packing for a trip, I always do that because I'm always convinced the air pressure in the airplanes can make things explode. So I would I don't want things to like ruin my nice new fancy clothes that I got for this trip.
Right. Oh man, well, I think
we're
we did
good.
a pretty decent job, kind of going through it, right?
Oh look, Skip Hop is still. If you scroll down, they're like advertising
Still
Skip Hop. There, look at that. Oh man, I miss that brand.
See, but I think we kind of wrapped this thing up and probably gave people a small heart attack thinking about all the stuff they might need to leave the house.
Yeah.
So I think it was kind of fun talking about all that diaper stuff, the diaper bag, getting the kitties out of the house. We would love to hear from you if you have questions or comments for us, a topic, an idea, a parenting story, a fail, a diaper bag story gone wrong, or some of you experience. You can contact us in the show. Maybe even just tell us about an upcoming birthday for your kiddo. One, you could leave a message on our Hey Other Parents voicemail line. We promise we won't pick up. It's 559-537-5437, or it's just easier to remember, 559-537-KIDS or 559-LAY-KIDS. Two, you could email us at heyotherparents@gmail.com. Keep it short, keep it weird. Questions, comments, whatever else, we might use it on the show. 3, join us on Instagram at Hey Other Parents. We'll try to keep you up to date with show info, polls, and more. If you have questionable parenting moments, please take a picture, and if it's appropriate, we might keep it on our feed. And you can always find our ridiculous AI images that we throw on there as we make fun of ourselves in the episodes and the things that we think about. So I think it's back for our time to Parenting Unplugged, because don't forget, you'll be a better we if you take care of me. So, Sarah D, what do you got this week?
Okay, so this week, G and I went to Rum Restaurant in Patchogue. And we went there. I selected this restaurant because they had those igloos that like you eat in. And let me tell you, it is quite the experience, whether to do it. I'm thinking, you know, you do it with girlfriends. You can fit about 6 people, maybe 8 in the igloo. G and I just did just me and him, like a nice little couple's dinner date or whatever. It's so cool because it's like almost soundproof. You can set up your own music. We didn't think about bringing like a game, like a little card game, because, you know, we love our games.
That's a cool idea.
I know. But the only thing is that like last night was like a little rainy and chilly. So like luckily we brought our heavy jackets with us. And even though they have the heaters, I think the people before us maybe were warm enough. So it was a little chilly. So it took some time to warm up. But it was a lot of fun. And the food there is excellent. It's like Jamaican fusion food. It was so good.
And it's kind of nice because you have like your own little like private room. So
yeah, it was like your own restaurant. Yeah, like, and like there was another igloo, and they were filled. They were like, they had probably like the max people in there, and we couldn't hear them at all. Like, so
awesome.
It was like private, like soundproof. It was really, I think like doing something special like that. If you're on Long Island, you ever head out to Patchogue, take the hour trip. If you're in Nassau County, it's worth a visit. I think, or I don't know, there's other igloo things, like in other places that might be closer to some people. I think it's worth it. Try the igloo. I think it's fun.
That's cool.
It could be a girl. I was thinking of all these things, like a girls' night thing, date night thing, double date night thing. So definitely try it out, guys.
It might be kind of funny when kids are older, like if obviously availability, but like having it so that like, depending on how comfortable you are, you could even do something where like the parents go to one igloo and then directly next to you can have, like, your kids are older, like your parents, other parents, friends you have, like if they have kids the same age, maybe like have them, you could check on them obviously, and they're see-through, so you can see what's going on. But
yes,
it'd be kind of fun, like a nice experience, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think the kids would get a kick out of it if you decide to bring the children along. That's
cool.
It's cute.
Oh, I like that. I just want to mention this week, I started watching about halfway through it. Maybe I'm a little further along, is Marvel What If. So this is wacky, man. This is a cartoon that's on Disney Plus, and it's Marvel related. And they didn't do like an amazing job, I think, explaining what it was for season 1. But what ended up actually happening is what the show is. A quick snapshot is an overview. Is they take a situation in a comic book or a movie, and they just change one aspect. Like one thing was like, what if like Captain America didn't become Captain America, but Peggy did instead? Like maybe Peggy got the serum. How would that have changed the story? So like, It sounded like it was all going to be all these wacky what if scenarios that didn't connect to anything. But what ended up actually happening was there was a whole thing with Doctor Strange where he becomes like evil Doctor Strange and zombie Doctor Strange. And then one of the Marvel movies came out with the Multiverse of Madness, and it was a huge part of the movie. And like, if you had seen What If, there was all this pre-story stuff that led directly into the movie. I mean, like, you didn't really have to know it, but it made the movie more interesting, which was kind of cool. So now I think that people realize that like that had occurred for season 1. Now I think people are a little bit more tapped into season 2 and like looking for like little clues, or like, how is this going to affect the next wave of Marvel movies, or like what's that story beat that's going to be important to pay attention to.
That's
fun. Kind of cool. There's like random things, like there was one where what do you call it? One of the cooler episodes was like Nebula, which is like the half robotic sister in Guardians. She somehow ends up going to Xander, which is like the planet where kind of Guardian starts out. And she joins like basically the police, and she's almost has like a detective story, and it's kind of cool. It's like all the voice actors are the actual actors that did the movies, so it's kind of cool. They had like the thing with like Peter Quill, where like if he ended up instead of like fighting his dad from the second movie, if he ended up joining his dad and ended up helping him destroy planets, how that would have shaken out. So anyway, so it's cool if you're into Marvel and you're looking at this thing like some random weird, just like wacky sci-fi thing. Remember that it does tie to the movies in some way. So you might dig it. I think it's kind of cool. Sort of like maybe more for you than for the kiddos. If the kids are older, maybe they can check it out. But I enjoy sitting on the couch by myself, and I pop it on, get my snacks going, and I dig it. A little late night action, about a half an hour each episode. They're releasing them one a day. So they're probably going to be all out by the time that you listen to this episode. But
nice.
Anyway, it was kind of fun to share those things.
Sarah D,
it is always fun to do these episodes with you. And I think Mike will be joining us next week. Unfortunately, sickness has made its way through his house yet again. We forgot to mention it. He's not in this episode. Now that we're at the very end of it. But hope Mike and his family, hope you guys are doing well. We'll catch up with you, Mr. Levine, soon enough. But I think we're out of time here. So we're going to wrap this one up. I think we'd like to take a little moment to thank our listeners and our Tip Jar supporters for donating to our show. We give members access to bonus episodes each month. If you have time, of course, we would appreciate you leaving us a review on Apple Podcast app. You search for the show, you scroll down to the bottom. There's a ratings review section. You can put stars. You can even write a review if you feel inspired. That also works on Spotify. But we can't wait to explore this parenting thing again with you next week on Hey the Parents, because it's the 3 of us and all of you. Don't forget to hug your kids and charge your Chromebooks. That's going to do it from me and Sarah. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey the Parents is produced by Mike Levine, Sarah D, and me, Michael Haidt. I edit and mix our show. Our intro voice recording was done by the one and only Coltrane. If you like our show, we hope you consider going to our show notes and supporting us through our Stripe tip jar, and consider becoming a member. Doing so supports us and gives you access to an exclusive Hey the Parents episode each month. You can find us online on Instagram at Hey the Parents, or send us an email at heytheparents@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.